Welcome to the 775 Alive podcast, your rural Nevada headquarters for decoding politics, economics, and general global shenanigans. I'm Crystal Newton, your business strategist, breaking down why Nevada's hustle is stronger than a sagebrush root in a windstorm. Here with my trusty co-host, Scott Gaborski, PhD historian, here to explain the smart lessons of history, even if we are likely to ignore them. Grab your boots for a wild ride through today's most important news.
Okay, so I'm Scott Gaborski again from 775 Alive down here at America Fest 2025 in Phoenix. I'm joined today by Jacob Thifault from TrueMark USA, who is out here promoting a new AI system. Let me get the pronunciation right.
Arcasia,
right? Yes. I've been messing this up all morning. And of course, those of you who have been watching know Crystal and I have been having a lot of discussions about AI. So tell us about Arcasia.
Absolutely. So term Arcasia means digital toolbox of the future. That's what its Latin and Greek breaks down to ultimately, or my interpretation of it. But ultimately, it is an AI orchestration platform. So what that means is that it takes in your data from CRMs, from your email servers, from social media, from your accounting, whatever programs you plug it into. It grounds all of that data into a central, secure database. So your information is not being leaked online. It's being contained into a safe, secure location. And then we actually train AI agents on it. So we call it a master agent. So that main AI agent is continuously learning and growing and becoming insightful on your business, on your data. And that can not only, you can converse with it, get live updates about your systems, about your processes, 24/7, live time. But then you can also delegate tasks down to a library of AI integrations and workflows. So that is one of the more potent capabilities of it. So as you are trying to, one of the number one uses of AI workflows is to eliminate a lot of mundane tasks, things that are taking away time and energy that otherwise could be used in growing your business, in growing your or being more efficient in your tasks. That's the purpose of Arcasia, is the orchestration.
And TrueMark, of course, we're down here again at America Fest, so a very conservative audience. You're advertising this as an ethical AI. What does TrueMark mean by that?
Absolutely. So TrueMark USA, we are committed to implementing and enhancing businesses through AI solutions. Now, there's also a wide variety of uses of AI. We already know that. And there's a lot of skepticism, especially from the grassroots. That's who we serve. So when we implement AI solutions, we do so in a way that we coach them, we teach them how to use it, and also to make them aware of the ways to not use it. There's a lot of the more contrary misuses are ripping off image generation, plagiarism. Maybe they are skewing the data and giving you some. Like ChatGPT may pull something from some kind of article or something that is not verified or not true, and you're being fed false information. All of these different components are ultimately we're facing with. There's also a whole other very terrible uses of AI, which I don't think we're going to get to right now.
But no, this is sort of interesting because that's been one of the big concerns with AI is what the large language models and the programming beyond it or behind it are actually doing. Again, one of the conversations we've been having, Crystal and I, has largely been on this issue of, whether you could use AI to make business decisions, make government decisions. And I think part of my concern about that is, let's just take a hypothetical example, because I think this is a real one, where you have a business, you spent the time training it on your business, and, you want to look at expanding into new markets in a city. And the AI comes back and feeds up, well, you probably don't want to expand here sort of to the east side of Fifth Avenue. And why I bring that sort of model up is that if we look back in the 20s and 30s, we start seeing redlining in African-American neighborhoods. That was exactly the argument that got justified. Now, this time it was people making a choice, but they justified it in the fact, well, home values over here on this side of the street, they're African American, they're going to be lower, so therefore we're not going to do the financing. How do you prevent the AI from making that decision the same way?
Well, it ultimately comes down to one motive and what you're going to the LLM for, but also what are you doing to equip the AI to make an informed decision? So if it's going out and pulling whatever's on the internet and whatever reports, like you don't know what reports it's pulling from. That is where the actual manual labor, and like you can use AI to gather a ton of intel, but it's up to you to verify what that intelligence is. So if it's pulling reports about home value or different things like that, if it's saying or suggesting to you a bias, I highly recommend that you don't have LLMs or AIs telling you how to think, but it's equipping you for you to make that decision yourself.
Right, and we had an earlier conversation where you pointed out the fact about firing people. That if you use an AI to make decisions about whether somebody should continue to be employed, the ethical problems that come along with that, which is, one of the issues we're concerned with as well, particularly I think largely in the rurals, is that AI is going to come through and create this huge economic crisis to fire all these people, and then we're really in a bind.
So I do believe that is a bit of hysteria, for one.
Okay.
I think we've gone through this before. We saw this in the dawn of the internet, the dawn of technology, and even like things with Google and, word processors, and that's transition from the 90s, early 2000s. You saw a lot of industries spin up from it. You mentioned the paper industries and photographers. That component, like the reporters could just take photos in and of themselves. There are industries that build, they fluctuate. But those people, they're either retrained or they do transition into a parallel or maybe even an entirely different profession. I believe that the outlook of AI is actually going to cause an immense number of additional jobs. It's going to shift the human from impersonal things, which could be data inputting, it could be some different backend or even administrative tasks, repetitive items AI is really, really good at. It's going to shift the human element into peer-to-peer relationships. It's going to shift it to sales. It's going to shift it to the trades, into craftsmanship.
All right.
And I think just as a nation, my generation especially, is looking more and more towards career ownership. So you're going to see a lot more businesses spring up. That's going to be from the grassroots of America. That's why we at TrueMark are very adamant about equipping them with the AI tools, because if they're able to focus on what they do best and not worry about some of the necessary components of running a business or just management of that, it could be of management of employees, management. You got to be careful on finances. You still got to check it. You're ultimately the one accountable for it.
Right.
But again, that goes with everything in HR.
Right.
You are the one that's fully accountable.
And you had mentioned briefly, and we're sorry, as you can see, we got an event going on, so hopefully it's not too awfully loud for you out there. But, apparently you're going to use a competing system to the Amazon's AWS server space that Rumble's putting together, right?
Yes, so we've been speaking with Rumble. That was something actually that got kicked off here over the AmFest week, and we're going to be working alongside them to platform Arcasia onto Rumble. They promote free speech. You're not going to get canceled. They have a level of transparency in that where your data is. They know what is being used and functioned for. AWS, they've got some pretty big gaps.
Right.
Case in point, they deplatformed Parler back when the whole debacle after 2020.
Right.
They also, obviously that was in the height of the cancel culture era when they took President Trump off. They deplatformed Charlie Kirk, a lot of other really awesome creators.
Well, even on the more basic side, one of the things that always entertained me when I was teaching in college is that the Monday after Thanksgiving, our learning management systems were just dragging. And come to find out, it's because they were stored on Amazon servers, and it's Cyber Monday, so their systems are going down, right?
Yes.
So I find that fascinating. It's a little beyond us, but that Rumble connection, I think, is interesting. So this has been an interesting discussion, Jacob. Thank you for taking the time today. If somebody wants to find out about TrueMark or the AI system, how can they do so?
Absolutely. I encourage you all to take a look at our website. It's www.truemarkusa.com. So that's true, like the truth. You can see it. I don't know if you can see it.
Yeah.
But actually spell it out. That's the number one thing I see people want to do. So TrueMarkUSA.com. You can also take a look at Arcasya.ai. Literally type it out just like that. It'll pop up in your internet browser. Take a look at our platform. We are looking for 100 MVP members. So basically people who are willing to implement some of our AIs, test it out just at direct cost, and to help us develop and continue to build this program.
Yep. Well, thank you for taking time today, and I'm going to continue talking to some people down here at America Fest. Until then, we'll see you around the 775.